check. Toast, toast. Welcome. We do it live. Talking alien movies today. This is Rooks G with Omega X's mega hit, RXG. Chat for that. We'll get started in just a minute here. Some Lonnie ASMR for you. Ooh. Hey, welcome. There's Satori, Mojo Monsi. There's K-Ram 37. What's up to y'all? Come on in. Give the stream a like. Share it out. I'm talking movies today. We want to see them damn aliens. Don't forget you can super chat using the links provided. You can also super chat me with PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. You can buy my book, Runes. Link in the chat in the description. We'll get started here in just a second. Talking alien movies. What's up, gang? Getting up here on a Saturday afternoon, or whenever it is, whenever you're watching this. Let's go. We are live. We're going here. Started here in just a minute. Tell me what alien movies you like. Put them down there in the comments, or if you're here in the live chat. Good to see some people dropping in. Old friends, new names. Don't forget, this is Rooks G, RXG, Omega X. Yo, this song has 61,000 views on YouTube. Not to mention whatever it has on Apple Music. Make sure you support them on Bandcamp, wherever you can. Check them out on Instagram. We like to support our friends here. If anybody knows about aliens, it's Rooks G. He's been making alien music since the time before Nibiru was discovered. Shouts out to Rooks G right there. Make sure you follow him, again, on Instagram, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Apple Music. I'm sure he's got a Spotify. I don't have Spotify, but I'm sure he's got Spotify. And, of course, on YouTube. Hey, this is Bazed Analyzer. That's me. This is BLA. Shouts out to Jethro right there. We're talking alien movies today, y'all. So we had the big we had the big alien disclosure yesterday. I'm telling you, I was so locked in, I was dialed in, I was waiting for it. And then all of a sudden it switched and maneuvered, dropped over at the Department of War. Right? So I checked it out. I read all the documents. I checked out all the videos. I checked out all the pictures. It was 17 pages. It's on a rolling. Of course, Look, I went through the Jeff Stein files in a night, and that was what, 3 million. We can really schizo scan through some documents here. Okay, so went through the documents, and they had the rendering and all the stuff. So I thought, what better way to discuss the truth than to look at movies, to look at film, because oftentimes we see we don't necessarily see factual stuff, but we do see the truth. We can see the artistic truth, aesthetic truth. There's a lot to be said about what is in the space programs and in military industrial tech, especially future tech, that we can see beforehand in movies and television shows. For instance, everybody knows about the cell phone being inspired by the handheld Motorola in Star Trek, Captain's Log, Stardate 330. Do you know the dolphin? Do you talk to him at home? Does he call you? So we see a lot of that stuff. And of course, it's interesting just to take a step back and imagine if you were an alien, I suppose, and to look at all of the stuff that is in culture, especially American culture, popular culture, about aliens. I mean, since, 1947. Interesting that it's 1947. I keep hearing 1947 everywhere. 1947, the year of the NSC, year of the founding of the, thank you for that donation that just came in. I'll check that out in a minute. The year of the foundation of CIA and all the stuff. National Security Act. At the tail end of right after World War II, that we get so much about these Foo Fighters and these UFOs and these UAP. So much so that even what's the guy's name from Sum 41? Travis Bickle? I'm confusing like a lot of things here. He's got that band, Angels and Airwaves. That's actually their first album is actually not bad. What's that guy's name? Travis. It's not Travis Bickle. It's not Travis Walton. Travis Walton is another guy. He's another guy that was in with the aliens. I saw the film. Somebody fact check me on this, but I saw the film Fire in the Sky, which came out in March of 1993. So I was 12 years old. I went and saw it with my best friend. Mom dropped us off at the movie theater. It's interesting to consider, back when you're 12 years old. And you just go, Mom, can you take me to the movie theater? You got to get a ride everywhere with your parents. My mom would drop me off. She'd say, your dad's going to pick you up. He's at the office. So Dad would pick me up, and then we'd get dropped off at the country club. And I never knew it. I never knew. Listen, judge me or whatever, but I never knew food cost anything until I was 19 years old or whatever, went off to college, because I would just go to the country club and order a club sandwich, and it was all on my number. No, I knew food cost money. But we would get dropped off at the country club. I remember that we saw Fire in the Sky, because it was a movie that came out. I watch movies. I love movies. You're here to talk about movies, and it's such a shame that there are hardly any movies being made, much less good movies. I've recently I think the last stream was about an alien movie. And I think it's one of the best movies to come out in years. Probably one of the best alien movies. Tom DeLonge, thank you. Thank you, Crystalline. I knew Crystalline would come through. Because I could not remember. There's Tom DeLonge, there's Travis. Okay, he's not even a Travis. He's Tom. All right, well, Travis Walton is the guy in the movie Fire in the Sky. You remember Fire in the Sky? It's got Robert Patrick. Did you know Bat Boy is real? It's got Craig Sheffer. And it's got Travis Walton or whatever. I think Travis Walton is actually in the movie, but that's the one about the loggers. That movie was pretty, that is a pretty decent alien movie. because it's the one where he gets zapped up into the sky, and of course he gets the probe. Remember, that's the one where he's kind of hovering in this hell tomb in the spaceship, and the aliens, the gray aliens, they drop some sort of a pasta bread sheet over him, and then it hardens real quick. Then he's sucked down onto this table, and then they stick the needle straight into his eyeball, and then they do the probing. And then he gets dropped off. Travis Barker, thank you. There is a Travis. Yeah, that's right. Yes, no. Sum 41 is the band that dated Avril Lavigne, right? Blink 182 is the band that played at Twisters in Richmond when I was little. So anyway, that's Fire in the Sky. Fire in the Sky is a pretty decent alien movie in terms of we're talking about aliens here. But what we're going to talk about today is we're going to discuss some of the different forms of alien. An other. We got an other. So we're talking about the other. So we're gonna talk about the movie Nope by Jordan Peele, which I've gone back and watched, and I think is a better movie than you may have thought it was when it came out, if you've seen it. There's also Predator. We're gonna do a little bit of Event Horizon. I forgot to put Event Horizon in the title, but we're gonna talk a little bit about Event Horizon and a couple other ones. Of course, we're gonna discuss The Thing again. So we have the various forms of alien that occur in film, and these are supposed to be reflective of the various forms of alien that I guess would be in the files or whatever. But when we think about these things, so we have, let's go through them a little bit. We've got the spiritual entity, the extra-dimensional being, or even the interdimensional being, the demonic entity that comes to Earth in a kind of pseudo-physical form. We've also got the organic alien with body mods and a predatory military mindset, playing a kind of most dangerous game here. We've also got the gray alien. There's the organism alien, the alien that's not just an organic life form that mirrors humans, but there's a kind of organic amoeba thing that mimics human beings in The Thing. And then we've got also especially in the movie Nope, we have the alien that is the spacecraft. So the kind of predatory animal is the spacecraft, takes the form of the spacecraft. And Nope is an interesting movie because I'm going to start with that one. Nope is an interesting movie because we have what looks to be like the flying saucer. And the flying saucer also, this thing sort of morphs into a kind of jellyfish creature. Now, that's interesting because we've seen the stuff in the files. The files are you can tell me what you think about the files, but I'm not going to get into the geopolitical distractions or the other people have covered that, and they can cover that. So we're just kind of talking about movies here. I will say that it's so funny when the files drop, and it's the big files, and of course we've seen other files that have dropped, but we get the big file drop, and the template and the interface is clearly designed to grab hold of you, because this is a kind of cultural interface, because especially Americans are so completely obsessed with aliens. Not everyone, but people are. I mean, I'm interested in it because I think it's an interesting subject. And let me know in the comments or right here if you've ever seen anything that you confused for an alien, if you ever thought you saw an alien. I will say I have seen some strange things. And not just at that Fish concert in 98. No, but I did see Fish at Virginia Beach when they played Terrapin Station. And there were aircraft crisscrossing the sky in a kind of triangular formation while there was a lightning storm in the distance. But that must have been those things that we put on that blimpy sub. No, but there were a lot of people standing around going, "It's the aliens." That was a fun concert. There was another time where I was with my lady friend back in the day. This is about 2000. This is about 2001, maybe 2002. It was probably about 2001. It might have been 2002. I think it was 2002. It might have been about 2001. And you know what? It was 2002. It might have been 2002. So it was about 2000. It was about 2002. I think it was 2001 or 2. So we were in the field behind my old house. We were sitting around, and we were looking at stars, and it did look like a Galaga fight in the sky. It looked like a game of, like, an Atari version of Centipede in the sky. And you don't know whether I'm being for real or not right now, but it was very strange. And it wasn't just shooting stars, and it was pretty weird. But it wasn't weird enough for me to change my worldview, which is the same one I have now. But I did think it was pretty wild. Then there was something else. I'll tell you this. This was probably the weirdest thing. This was probably the weirdest one. So do you remember when the drones were happening last year? So that was over a year ago. I mean, what was that, January 2025 or something? The drones were happening in Jersey and along the East Coast. Now, you would think that if there was anywhere for a hotspot for alien spacecraft, that it would be Virginia, because Virginia has all of the military industrial things. Now, none of them are really near me. After 2001, I remember when the terror attacks happened, and I was actually abroad, but I'll never forget that there was a thing published in the newspaper and then in Time magazine about potential targets for a nuke attack, because we were having, people forget that after the terror attacks that there was a bit of a nuke scare. I mean, the first thing that I thought when that happened was, who could this possibly be? What is this? Is it Russia? I mean, what is this? That's over. The Cold War's over. And I lived through the 80s and the Cold War, and I was a kid hiding under the desk. They made us get under the desk and the drills and all that stuff, which I actually was a great time in my life. I thought that was a really exciting, awesome time. I was ready for the nuke war anytime. We had a bunker in our basement. We had gas masks and weapons and all this stuff. I was ready. I was so ready. I practiced for it all the time when I was a kid. I was ready for it. But yeah, somebody says New Jersey has been UFO central for decades. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, obviously out west, and then Alaska is a big place for it. But you would think Virginia would have much more activity with this kind of thing because of the, there's a Honeywell factory here. That was one of the things on the nuke target. There were, there are nuclear facilities. Of course, there's Langley. There's the Hampton Roads area, which is the largest naval base in the world. There's a lot of military activity. There's a lot of stuff. There's a military base near me right now. But I didn't really see any of this stuff. And then all of a sudden one night, this is January 2025. We went outside. My now wife and I went outside, and we were kind of talking about it. I was talking about there's because I'm a stargazer. I'm a star watcher. I literally love. I don't need to say literally, but I love watching the sky. I watch the skies. I check out the internet and I watch the skies. I love stars and constellations and looking at the night sky. I always have. I can just stand there and look at the sky all night without even doing anything, just looking at the sky. I'm mesmerized by the sky. So we went out and we were looking at the stars, and I was talking about these. all the orb phenomenon, and whether that's Lockheed or Skunk Works or McDonnell Douglas or whatever it was. We were given all kinds of things. Maybe it's a weather balloon. Maybe it's a whatever this thing is. And right when I said that, this did happen. Right when I said that, right over my home, we were looking at each other, and something went right overhead, and it was fast enough where we caught the tail end of it, like we looked up in time to see it, but it was slow enough where we could actually see a form. And it wasn't a shooting star, because when I saw the flash, we both looked at each other in the eyes and we thought it was something. And we thought it was a flash, like a shooting star. But we looked up in time and it was not a shooting star. Then I kind of, all these thoughts go through your head in like a millisecond. I thought, is this some sort of spotlight? Is it a drone? And it was not. It looked like an illuminated balloon, but solid. And it was perfectly round, and it went right over our head, like in a straight line. It went like this, like that, and I'm talking probably 30 feet above the house. It was very low, and we looked at each other and we went, "What was that?" And so we actually prayed. We prayed, and we just asked Jesus to take care of us in that moment, because you don't want to be, I don't know, we don't want to be in the sights of whatever it was. But that's it. And, so I think that the anecdotal evidence and the personal evidence and the personal sightings, I think a lot of people don't understand also reading documents. I'm talking about not any of us. I have the smartest, and in our general area of our friends, we have the smartest people in the chat, smartest people watching this. So nobody here seems to be is going to get fooled by anything. You won't get fooled again. Listen, fool me once. Look, fool me. Look, just like my buddy said here, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again. So I don't think we have a problem with that. But I think many of the people that happen to bother to read anytime there's a document release or files or anything, don't understand that a lot of the files are just reports of people that can write or call about literally anything. I'm tired of saying literally. I'm going to stop saying literally. But I think that's part of the problem, with this stuff. That's not part. There's nothing wrong with them reporting anything, and who knows, that stuff might be true, but you got to be careful about what you read in a thing just because it's, 30 feet of documents or whatever. There's going to be everything in there. So let's talk about the movies. Let's talk about Nope. This movie is a Jordan Peele movie, and it came out in 2022. And I was pretty excited for this movie because, say what you will about Jordan Peele movies. I think Get Out is a great movie. I was excited about the movie Us. Again, it was another one of those movies where I predicted the plot from watching the trailer for 5 seconds. When they did the Hands Across America thing in the plot, and there was in the trailer, and they showed the bunny, I knew it was going to be some sort of genetic experimentation in the liminal space or in the underground tunnels. Show me the tunnels. There's going to be the tunnels. Or there was going to be some sort of doppelganger effect, a double. I didn't know what it was. It ended up being that. Of course, that mixed in with the fun house and the sort of hellmouth and the fun house and the Hall of Mirrors, and the idea and the split. It's going to be like that. I thought it was an interesting movie. It was that one was a little bloodier than I wanted it to be, but it doesn't need to be like that. I actually thought Candyman, Jordan Peele's production of Candyman, the reboot of Candyman, I think that's probably his best one. I actually like that movie a lot. I did that in one of the like night walker, night crawler streams, right, from spooky season a couple years ago. That was years ago now. But you can check that out. I think that was a decent movie. It was actually pretty well done because it was a kind of a critique of the art world as well. So this movie, Nope, has as its template, as its basis, it's got a kind of meditation on film. So it ends up being a meditation on what film is and the Hollywood industry. And as usual, it's got overly tedious and annoying aspects of it that deal with visual differences amongst people, and there's a kind of post-racial element that's thrown into the movie, which is a fun. It's a look. A person making a movie and a person doing art has the choice and the right to make whatever they want. If whatever they see is their critique, whatever they see as their beef, they can do that. That's fine. But it doesn't mean that we have to like it or accept it. It doesn't even mean that it has to be true. So when you make a movie and everybody in the movie is a Jordan Peele, then it becomes a bit alienating. And maybe that's the purpose now that I think about it. Maybe that is the purpose. Maybe the purpose is that the major film-going audience is going to feel alienated by watching an alien movie, which is actually a different type of alien movie that I've seen before. And I think that the movie Nope did not do well when it came out. It didn't do well in terms of, I don't know about box office. I mean, it's almost irrelevant at this point. It didn't do well in terms of a viewing audience, especially like with me, because I felt that the movie, I considered that the movie itself was, again, a bit tedious and heavy-handed. There were also a few too many elements thrown in. The movie begins with a quote from Scripture and immediately goes into a nonlinear flashback about a Jacko Bubbles character on a fictional TV show that goes crazy and slaughters everybody on this film set. And this is meant to be a kind of epigraph for the rest of the film, dealing with our ideas of consumption and humanity's hubris in dealing with predators, meaning like actual animal predators. So I don't know if this was heavy-handed at first, but throughout the movie, it was almost like an impending moral lesson, and I think that when movies become overly didactic, then they suffer. That doesn't mean that they have to be ambiguous. It doesn't even mean that they have to be ambivalent in terms of their sort of how they convey moral structure or any kind of paradigm. But it does mean that we feel like we know when we're being taught, teached to or preached to in a movie, especially by a non-preacher. And so this is it can be a bit tedious. So going back years later, I think that the movie is a lot stronger than I thought it was at the beginning. I think that there are some really positive things in this. What the movie is about is a disabled man who is the son of a guy living on a horse farm in California, and he's living in this old house. And basically, they run a business where they lend out horses to the film industry. And the movie begins with the disabled man going out there to get his horse, and he shows up at the studio, and he has to show his horse to this. They're making a film or a television commercial or something, and standing on a green screen, and he has to give the little speech. He's incapable of giving a little speech, and he's waiting for his sister Keke Palmer to show up. Now, Keke Palmer is an Adderall prone in the film. So she's some sort of hyperactive, dysfunctional sister with mental problems who shows up late, ignores her brother, is the main character in the film of her own life, and sells this product to the film crew, who one of the responses is, well, that was a lot. And she gives them a histrionic lesson on how the first moving image was of a horse being shot on, not being shot, but the camera is shooting the horse. That would be horrible if the first moving image was of a horse being shot, being put down at the Kentucky Derby. That's the start of film. That's absolutely horrible. Why would we ever want to watch movies again? So anyway, we're watching a camera roll of a horse running, and there is a black jockey. And she says, "That's our great 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 granddad. Did you know that?" And they're like, "No, we didn't know that. It's irrelevant to the commercial." But anyway, so that's what their business is. And so then you get these annoying Hollywood people who come up, and one of them puts this ocular, light tester or whatever right in front of the horse's eye, and then Dum Dum and McGritzy come and get right, yes, Melly, and get right behind the horse, and he's like, can you not stand by? And of course she gets kicked by the horse. Duh. Look, I had a friend who got kicked by a horse in the head when he was a kid, and he hasn't been right since. Horses are no joke. We had a horrible experience with a horse when I was young. My sister loved horses. She loved horses, and we went out there. We went out to this farm. My sister was about 2 years old, and I'll never forget this. My mom is holding my sister, and she puts a sugar cube in her hand. She holds it out. She holds it out to this horse, and the horse bit her, and my dad punched the horse. Son of a bitch, punched the horse. And so my sister did not like horses after that. They scared her a lot. I don't blame her. That was a horrible experience. I've never heard that happen to anybody else. So anyway, the horse, so we get the horse. And we get the eye. And so we're supposed to think, there's something about looking in the eye of the eye. And so at the beginning of the film, what's his name is riding around with his dad on the horse, and his dad is it Keith David or David Keith? I don't remember. I think it's Keith David. I don't know. Maybe it's Craig David. Took her for a drink on Monday. On Tuesday, you guys remember that? Oh, we can make love by Wednesday. You remember that song? Thursday and Friday and Saturday, what about Sunday? Remember that song, Craig David? Oi, Craig David, Bo Selector. So Craig David is on a horse, and these things start falling out of the sky like nuts, like nuts and bolts. And the nut, I guess, hits the dad right in the eye. So again, we get the eye, we get the camera eye, we get the camera tester, we get the horse's eye, we get the man's eye, we get the bolt or whatever, which looks like an eye. And so now we're wondering what's going on with this. Well, when Daniel, what's the main? Can somebody look up what the main actor's name is? Daniel Kawumbe or something? Daniel Kawumbe. I mean, he won a best supporting actor for the movie about the Black Panthers, which my friend Paul's friend apparently wrote that movie. Anyway, so yeah, so Daniel Kawumbe, if somebody can look up his name. I'm not trying to get his name wrong, honestly. I think he's good. He's not good at Sicario, but that's not his fault. I mean, actually, his role is not very good, but he's great in Get Out. So he's good in this. He's really good at playing a disabled guy in this movie. So he gets back home. Daniel Kaluuya. Thank you, Melly. Daniel Kaluuya. And by the way, shouts out to Melly right there for hosting the stream that she did with the gang the other night. You can check her out on Melaforta, because that was a fun stream on Stanley Kubrick. You guys check that out. And Stanley Kubrick, what am I talking about? David Lynch. David Lynch and Stanley Kubrick are in the same sort of universe. I sort of kind of meant to mention that on the panel, but shouts out to Melly for hosting that. So, speaking of aliens, right, with Stanley Kubrick, and David Lynch is a kind of alien. I think his movies are, maybe that's the secret to David Lynch movies, that they're made by an alien. That's why they feel so weird. So anyway, the long and short of this movie is that the alien comes and mimics the sky. It mimics cloud formations. So we get a kind of heart machine DARPA thing with this alien, but the alien is clearly it's from another universe, and it's either that or it's aquatic, because it does kind of move around the sky like it's swimming in a way, or it moves with ease through the sky. it leaves sort of a trail. We definitely hear an audio trail in this, and it also reminds me of both obviously a jellyfish, kind of jellyfish, octopus, and also a manta ray. And so, and the mouth of this alien craft is the typical thing you think it's going to be with the Aleister Crowley, the probing. It's as Quagmire says, every entrance is also an exit here. Yeah, it's that. It's the perverted thing, but it's this thing that comes by, and it basically sucks up all the life of whatever, and it bases it on eye contact, and that is supposed to mirror or mimic how the chimp went crazy on the show at the beginning of the movie. So the chimp hears a balloon pop. It's interesting because of balloons and orbs, and the movie has a kind of, I think, a pretty cohesive vocabulary in terms of its symbolism, which I did not notice the first time. I would commend it for that. But the really interesting part about this is that although the alien has a kind of cycloptic eye, which is also its exit system, so it's completely predatory. It acts like a gigantic primordial but also futuristic predatory animal. So it has instincts based on spatial area. So in other words, yeah, so in other words, it looks at space according to its kind of electrical system, and it is territorial. So when it makes eye contact, just like the chimp did after the balloon broke. Okay, so after it makes eye contact, it goes for whoever it is, and it sucks up all this stuff, and then it spits out all the non-organic material. So Daniel Kaluuya learns that he can't make eye contact with this thing. The problem with the movie is that it uses the phrase "nope" too much, and I thought, is this supposed to be anagrammatic? Is it supposed to be open? What is this? Why are we using this sort of idiomatic cultural phrase so many times? It would have been cool if it were used once, but it was used too many times in the movie. And the really interesting part about this film is that the alien then changes shape from flying saucer and manta ray predator into a fully metaphysical, physical, spiritual entity that looks like an imitation of an angel. And I thought that was really, it was really, really well done. I think her name was, Melly says, I think her name was Tarla. Her name was Tarla. Chimp was drunk on wine and ripped the lady's face off. Oh, wait, are you talking about the real life thing? Because that's one of the most horrifying things that I've ever seen. I was teaching a class when that happened, and I saw it pop on the news, and I said, watch this. This lady owned a chimp. Don't forget that we covered the movie Monkey Shines, so you can go back and watch that. And also the movie Primate I think Primate was another Dr. Oz. What's that guy's name? Osgood Perkins. Of course he's Oz. So Osgood Perkins is the guy who made the monkey. Remember what? Hey, honey, what was the monkey movie with the with the cymbals? And the electric, it was called The Monkey. That's right. The guy went swimming. He dove in the pool and he exploded in a shower of misty blood. So that's Osgood Perkins, right? More like Oz Bad. So he's actually in this movie, and so yeah. No, what happened was that in real life, that lady had a chimp, and it wasn't MJ's bubble. Remember Michael Jackson. Right, he gives a little command to Bubbles. Bubbles was a great chimp. So she got her chimp drunk on some wine and Percocet or something, and the chimp just chimped. I mean, the chimp ripped her face off and left her with this hole in her face. And then she did an interview on Dr. Oz, or maybe it was Matt Lauer. It might have been Dr. Oz, but I think it was Matt Lauer. It might have been Dr. Phil. And she's like, and they translated it and said, "I'm in hell, please end me," or something awful. It's truly one of the worst stories. The worst movie, by the way, about chimps. The worst movie about chimps, which is a kind of alien movie because it treats the aliens dealing with a kind of computer hell through like an NSA facility mixed with like DARPA technology, is the movie Project X with Matthew Broderick. That movie is absolutely awful. Don't ever watch that movie. Oh my God. That's another one of these movies that I watched on the movie channel when I was little and nobody knew I was watching it. The movies that I watched that my parents didn't know I was watching, I watched like a series of movies. I watched 1984 Dune by David Lynch. Then I watched Flowers in the Attic, and then I watched Project X. There's like no worse thing that you could watch. Finally, Rambo: First Blood Part 2 came on. I remember that, and I was like, thank goodness. We can deal with some good old American shit here. Excuse my language. So anyway, what happened was not the party movie. It's a Project X. It's a movie where these chimps are kept in a Dr. Flossie facility. And they are trained in doing a Polybius flight simulator, like on a vector scale. And they're like, I don't know how they're tortured, but I can't really remember because I don't ever want to watch it again. But Matthew Broderick's in it. It's awful. That might be the movie where he met Sarah Jessica Parker. I don't know. Talk about torture, huh? All right. So anyway, So Matthew Broderick, and people are not a fan of him in Ireland. I'll tell you that. I know people always throw that in, but I knew that before the internet did. I'll tell you that. I knew it from my friends there. They said Matthew Broderick. Yeah. Okay. So she'd been something about the benzos. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the alien. So the alien in Nope shows up as this giant, billowing kind of sail. It looks like a sail, and it's sort of floating around. I thought this is just like, you remember in Jurassic Park when Newman gets lost and the little creature, it's got that thing, and then watch out, they spit. Remember, he spits the venom in his eye. Look, man, if you're ever somewhere and some little creature comes along and mesmerizes you with its and there's a sound like this, don't look at it. You gotta get away from that thing. So anyway, so the sail comes out, and then it spits out this flashing, mesmeric sort of square-like television symbol, like I'm doing right now, that kind of looks like the shutter. It looks like the camera eye on an old style camera. And they get David Wincott in there, who's a fine actor. David Wincott is good. Remember, he's good. He was in the movie Basquiat, and he's in a bunch of these old movies. He's got a voice just like, he's like, the big purple dinosaurs coming to get you. But they got him in Anne de Mulemeister or something. They got him in Rick Owens, like in a sort of a black, in a Muramasa black Anne de Mulemeister outfit for some reason out in the desert, and he has this handheld camera, kind of like Shadow of the Vampire, right? Man, a monkey, and he commits suicide by alien in the movie. So he wants to get, and what was really interesting was the sound of the people screaming from the clouds, because they're going through this kind of like Goodyear blimp bubble system of a digestive tract, which was very weird. In fact, it made me think that the movie was also representing some kind of like that this was the portal to the other dimension. I know that there's a lot about alien portals in the Al Crowley reversal system, but I thought this was interesting because it was almost like they were spit out through the digestive tract, which of course was the wacky wavy and inflatable arm flailing man. They have a bunch of those as a prop in the film to show where the alien is, kind of like Stranger Things with the lights. And so I thought that was a pretty interesting thing with this. And of course, the movie ends up being basically blimpied to death with the man in orange, which is another interesting thing because Daniel Kuyumba is the protagonist of the movie, and he's saving his sister on horseback. So it's a reversal of the kind of typical cowboy motif that you see, which actually works really well in the movie. I thought this was pretty well done. He's black man on a horse, and and he's saving his sister, and sort of everything's reversed, but it also makes sense in the film. And he's posted up at the end under this kind of the entryway to a ranch, showing that I suppose the movie is supposed to show that there's a reclamation of the nobility of his family because it's all on film that we're watching. I think that's probably what they intended, but I actually did think that it was really cool. I thought that this was really well done, and there's a mixture of home surveillance system with internet and old school film. There's a juxtaposition between new style cameras and film, and how you have to go low tech or almost no tech in order to catch the alien. And the coolest part really of the movie is that Keke Palmer gets evidence of the alien through this thing called like the eye in the sky, or it's like some sort of, I've never seen this before. If you've ever seen this before, then you'll know what it is. But it's like she has to wrench this thing, and it looks like a well, but it's got a camera at the bottom of it. So it's like people peep over the edge of the well, and then you get a picture, and you have to kind of rotate this big camera thing. And it was like a really old type of, of camera, and it gets the picture of the alien from the ground up. And I thought that was really cool because it's a reversal of how the alien sees humans. So we're in a well looking up, and so the thing is reversed. And so I thought that was really cool. That was a really interesting way of incorporating Hollywood into how we don't usually think about the aliens. And of course, the real story of it is, who is the alien? Do the people feel alien? Do they feel like the other? That's I think probably the type of intended cultural subtext that we're supposed to get from the movie. I don't really see that mattering that much. And look, one of the problems with neo Hollywood is one of the same problems with education now. And the problem is that when you limit your artistic vision or your cultural exposure to stories or plot lines or meaning, or message that is supposed to be relevant to your personal experience, to your lived experience, then you are actually limiting your place in the world. If your ultimate meaning is identity or identification versus your personhood or your character, for instance, then I think that you are limiting who you are in the world, and it will never change. It will never reverse out of that. So the point of great literature and great movies, and I think this is a pretty good movie. The point of great literature is that the archetypes are universal. So no matter who we are, no matter what race we are, or sex, or person, or what we do for a job, or when we're born, or what year, we can see ourselves in archetypes, and we see that life essentially has specific pathways to truth and virtue. Now, of course, the highest of these is the Christological archetype, is Christianity. I think that one of the things about the alien stuff is that essentially the people that propagate this, not this movie, but people that propagate the alien stuff, especially with intended and knowing falsehoods, is that they will do anything to avoid accountability through Christianity. I think that's essentially the point. People want meaning, and they want to think that they are from another universe, or that they were seeded by a superior intelligence, without understanding that Scripture is already perfect, and that the diagram of being created by God from the outside, and that we're made from dust. It's not stardust; it's dust from the earth that God created. Is one of the things that I think gives people such a problem. And we can move on to the movie Contact, because we just rewatched the movie Contact with Jodie Foster. Dr. Lecter, did you know that I was in contact? Did you know, Dr. Lecter, did you know that I was in contact with Travis Bickle when I was trying to go to space? So what happens in this movie is that there is a streetwalker named Jodie Foster who has recently been in the FBI. Her first assignment, she caught this guy, Hannibal Lecter. And then she goes on to have a daughter who does the same thing in the movie Longlegs. But she becomes a scientist, and she's obsessed with the SETI satellites. Okay, the SETI satellites are those things that they use in like techno videos, like Aphex Twin videos, and they're always moving at the same time. Like, think of like digitalism in 2007. So these satellites are always moving. They're pointed into deep space, and they are listening for the music of the spheres. Okay, because John D came up with this. So they're out there listening, and they're trying to. The secret to all this is that there's always a scientist played by William Fichtner, who is a seeing impaired man, and he went from being my friend Charlie Cox in Daredevil to being this guy, and now he listens to space. Okay, he was also in the movie Sneakers. Remember, he was that guy Whisper. So he's got a great sense of hearing, a great sense of sound. It's not a sense of hearing. I can't believe I made that mistake. You don't sense hearing. You either hear or you have a sense of sound. Oh my gosh. Now I'm totally infected. I'm infected by the verbal mind virus. All right. It's okay. I've learned that it's okay. Bone broth. Bone broth. Bone broth. Bone broth. Okay. All right. I'm in a loop. Help me get out of my loop. So the intro in Mad Mink says the intro in Contact is pretty cool. It is. Look, man, any movie where they got like Amiga computers and they've got satellites and they hear a whoa, 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 whoa. And they hear a droid. Right? And so they get this message from space, and they learn math is the universal language. So it tells them 1 + 1 is 11. 11. So they get a Netflix. Okay, now I'm gonna stop that. So 1 + 1 is 11, and they learn that if you do pi, then you can contact the aliens. I do think it is a cool intro, and they learn that they have coordinates or something, and then they bone broth, bone broth, bone broth. So bone broth. So they get coordinates, and the coordinates say, "Who am I, Daddy?" And it's her dad. So World War 11. So what happens is Hannibal Lecter has to go through the whole movie as a scientist, and it's really difficult because she's an atheist, and so it's really tough for her because James Woods comes through, and James Woods is a government guy. And he doesn't like her. And then she meets Matthew McConaughey. And Matthew McConaughey is he's fresh off that movie A Time to Kill, so he's got that cool hair. And he's a pastor. And the problem with him in the movie is that he goes from being he's a pastor, he's a Christian, but the problem is that then they make love in the movie. And now he's compromised by wanting her to stay just because, she's Jodie Foster instead of like telling her about the truth of Christ, and how she's always looking. Like, for instance, at the end of the movie, they have this government oversight committee hearing with like 1,000,000,000,000 people at it. Even though I think if this really happened in real life, nobody would care. I mean, like the files just dropped, and they talked about the Apollo 12 astronauts and Apollo 11. By the way, I noticed they didn't quote my homeboy, whose granddad was on Apollo 12, flying the command module. You know why they didn't quote him? Because he was already telling the truth, and I don't know what these guys were doing. Anyway, they just dropped, and they're talking about we saw some stuff, and we saw the monolith take off from the moon or whatever they said in the. I actually did read the documents, but they're talking about seeing light streaks and all this stuff. And notice he's not in there because he didn't lie about it. But anyway, nobody cared. Nobody really cared. I mean, you can't get a doctor's appointment. The cigarettes are like $10, and that's Virginia. They're cheaper here than anywhere. They're like I can get them for like $7. Gas is like $4.25 in Mississippi. I mean, that's crazy. So nobody cares about the alien, thing. But anyway, so the problem is that the government hearing at the end of the movie, she's like, I think that we're all interested in the truth. But the problem is that Matthew McConaughey doesn't stand up and say there's only one truth, the way, the truth, and the life. And that's Jesus Christ. And every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. The problem is that he doesn't do that. And that it's just all up in the air. So what happens is they make this big government thing, and she's gonna fly in a Phantasm silver ball. They're gonna drop it into the middle of what looks like an Event Horizon anti-gravity machine. And it's all swirling, but it reminded me of how the depictions of the seraphim. It's kind of a mimicry or mockery of the seraphim. So they're going to drop it in there, and she's supposed to go to the wormhole, which, by the way, that is probably what will happen in the future. I don't know, but we'll get to wormholes in a little bit and some stuff they've been doing with CERN, but I bet you that will be a thing that someone, it'll be Blue Sky or whatever the Amazon thing is, plus, SpaceX, and they'll make the way they'll try to do the portal is modeled on Contact, because it's Carl Sagan. So often, I started off by talking about how oftentimes the movies give us the model or the design for what's going to happen in real life. I mean, art affects life, certainly. You have to have, I think that's one thing that the movies are valuable for, because we have artists that create, use their imagination, which is something people just don't know about anymore. And so we create these things, and then it gets passed on through the filters, and then ends up as the model for the thing that happens in real life. It's not the other way around. But the other problem is that everything is Hollywoodized, and so everything, like the thing at the hotel a few weeks ago. If you're watching this in a year, you won't know what I'm talking about. But it's like the thing at the hotel with the event with the guy with no shirt on running. He was schlepping all through the place, and he was in a schwitz and a schwatzen or whatever they say, and he was running through the thing. And Iceman 4000 or whatever, right? Well, because it looked like Hollywood. Because you got the cameras running, and then you got Dana White, he's still eating his cheeseburger or whatever. I mean, it's just odd. I think that was real, but I think they got a real problem with this stuff. They got to watch out, because everybody wants to be the star of their own movie now. Gosh, I'm really all over the place in this one. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to stick to it. So here's what happens. Jodie Foster tries to get in the anti-gravity machine, but Jake Cockadoodie Busey is the head of a Latter-day Saints Mormon Heaven's Gate death cult, and he blows it up with a body bomb, which is crazy when you watch the movie, because you're looking at him and they're like, who's that man on camera? he's kind of looking around, and they couldn't tell he had the dynamite on him. So anyway, he blows it up, but it just so happens, and this is actually really cool in the movie, it just so happens that John Hurt, playing Jeff Bezos as Howard Hughes, is a mad billionaire, innovator, science man, and he has gone to the Mir space station to try to reverse the cancer that has racked his body. So he's floating in zero gravity, and he has built an identical anti-gravity machine on Okinawa over there in Japan. So it's still on. The mission's still on. And then so she goes and she gets dropped into the thing. And this was actually cool because she's live streaming and she's got this like GoPro attached like to her side of her head. And basically the Japanese in this movie are playing what the Chinese would be now if you made a remake. And she's got this cool, she's game streaming or whatever. The tech is cool. And so her whole orb turns into a sort of, like planetarium Vegas sphere. And she ends up in the beach dimension. So she goes to Vaporwave Beach and she meets a version of her of a watcher. And the crazy thing about this was that the specter appears on the beach, and you kind of think this is an alien. So she meets the alien. The alien, though, is an interdimensional watcher running a computer simulation program. And so they've designed this zone as a place that would be pleasing to her with a synthwave sky and a pure vaporwave beach. I mean, it is pretty cool. It's like it's like Fiji water zone. And so David Morse comes and he's her father, but he's just a computer simulated alien version of her father. He even gives her a kiss, which is really creepy. You forget that when you first watch the movie that these are mimicry. It's a mimicry. It's a mimicry of what they know she wants. And so she asks about the afterlife and about what life is, and they say, "Oh no, we've been watching you for a long time. You are an interesting species." And it really is. I gotta say this, it's a Robert Zemeckis film, and this was like 1997. Contact is a well done movie. I mean, the pushing of the we're all one stuff and the atheism and all that. I mean, it's it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't, says Maddie. But the movie looks good. It really is a really beautiful movie. It really does look very good, and they don't make movies like this. So anyway, she comes back to Earth, and it's been 18 hours of the movie has Angela Bassett as you think she's the president, but she's actually just, I guess, the chief of staff, maybe, because Clinton is the president. So one thing they did in the 90s was that they used real presidents in movies, and they didn't do that before. So, like, remember that Under Siege has George Bush Sr., and then this movie has Bill Clinton. It's got footage of Bill Clinton, and they got what's that guy name? What's the CNN guy's name? Not Bernard Shaw. Is it Bernard Shaw? What's that guy's name? There's Wolf Blitzer and there's Bernard. What's the name of the black guy on CNN that they had? Bernard something. I always like that guy. That's basically the same guy as that runs he's the head of the flight program, like Ed Harris does in all the other movies. Ed Harris is always the flight director. But this guy, they say it's an all-new program in Japan because it's secretive and nobody knew about it. But then all of a sudden everybody knows about it and everybody shows up. And the flight director is wearing this kind of cozy, fuzzy sweater to let you know that he's friendly. But it's a really well-done movie. I mean, it really is beautiful. And by the way, it also has Matthew McConaughey in a space movie going into the movie's about going into a wormhole that looks like a black hole. So it's just the movie basically is Interstellar, but what would that be? That'd be 20 years ahead of time because the same thing happens because Jodie Foster goes and meets her dad, and in Interstellar he comes back and he meets his daughter, and I guess that's just the framework. There is a bit of like Tesseract sort of stuff in the other dimension in the wormholes. But the wormholes in this are really well done. They're really cool. So I've been reading about, I stayed up for about 7 hours the other night talking to Gemini about what is time. And one thing that's interesting in terms of the wormholes and all of the crazy science stuff happening now with Hadron Collider and CERN and all this stuff. Hey, by the way, shouts out to the 50 people in chat right now. Thank you for being here, and make sure you give me a like, and you can leave a comment, you can super chat, whatever you want. So one thing that's interesting is, I was talking to Gemini about time and about how, in the infinity of space, using all the computing power in the world and all the things ever written and all of the data at your disposal, what is time? And it essentially came back at me with the the concept of, which I've been reading about, but I hadn't talked to Gemini about this, and I don't really usually ever talk to that. I'll ask GPT a question or whatever, if I'm whatever. But it came back at me with the concept of the two forms of time, which is like there's temporal time, which moves linear, in a linear fashion, and then spiritual, a kind of ritual time. Ritual time is a participation or recreation of the origin of the universe, and it doesn't have a beginning or an end. And I asked it about, is this the same thought about time that scientists or physicists have as described in scripture when Moses is talking to the angel of the Lord and to Elijah, and then later on in the gospel when they see Christ speaking to Moses and Elijah, is it the same time in that sense? Because that's the same time. So those two things are happening at the same time. It's a spiritual time. It's God's time. And it said essentially that, well, when physicists think about the dimensions and they think about, I don't know, maybe it's the fifth dimension or whatever, or the sixth dimension, maybe it's the seventh dimension, 6, 7. Don't get mad. When it's talking about the dimensions, and it says that, and Carl Sagan actually has a good video on this. I watched this years and years ago, early internet, Carl Sagan talking about what are the dimensions, and that's where you get the tesseract. When you're standing on the edge of a cube, looking down in 5D or whatever, and you see both things happening at the same time, even though it's a different time. So they've done experiments with this, and the scientists did this experiment about in terms of the recreation of the universe, and it said that, I didn't know this, that now instead of Big Bang Theory, many physicists are looking at something called the Big Command Theory, which is essentially, you think about in terms of I'm probably butchering all of this, so forgive me. I've got a high IQ audience, and I'm just I'm like the guy in the movie Nope. So physicists think of the Big Command Theory, and it's kind of like when you think of like how people they talk about simulation theory. It's not a simulation, but in terms of simulation theory about like life is a computer program, I think a lot of these nerds, they're incapable of thinking about a thing that's already been laid out to them, like in Genesis. So they have to think of it as a computer program with a search query, which is ironic because I was doing this on a search query. But anyway, and it's basically that, like, when God is described as speaking or singing the world into existence, speaking it into existence, let there be light, that's a command, that the earth moves. The creation moved in a with a uniformity that cannot be, but it's hard to measure it, and it cannot be reprocessed or recreated or assimilated because of the amount of data, which is the universe, which is everything. But it said that they've done these experiments with something called the lattice, and it's basically that, like, underlying underlying everything, that there is a kind of lattice work where when you think about objects attracting, even though they're in the infinity of space, so really there is no space, because it's in infinity, the amount of space doesn't matter. So in the lattice, it's that there is an underlying design, which is basically God's design. So think about the way DNA works, or the double helix, and the other thing they notice is that the the lattice work shows data. There's data about it showing that it is aware of being observed, which I thought is very interesting. I think, and that sort of ties into, have I ever done a show on Gnosticism? Not on Gnosticism in a philosophical sense, but we've done so many shows on. Thank you for the question, Mad Mate. We've done so many shows on Gnosticism in terms of literature and film. I think that might answer that might answer the question. Yes, with a positive answer, because I mean because one of the things that we've sort of talked about here in terms of literary and film construction is that, especially for so long, a lot of the things we covered fell. With film, it was two categories. Everything was either Gnosticism or the most dangerous game. It seemed like everything became that. I mean, like we're about to talk about Predator, and Predator is the most dangerous game. But I was so happy. I will say this: I was so happy to hear. I'm going to do stream with Tristan on. Well, I'm doing a stream with Tristan on. Let me try that again. On Cormac McCarthy's Cities of the Plain. Of course, we did Outer Dark and Child of God, so we're going to do Cities of the Plain coming up. And I will say that I was so refreshed by Tristan's analysis of Cormac McCarthy's The Road, because you guys saw that on Jay was discussing. We'd already discussed it, but he looks at The Road as through a Christological lens, that it's actually beautiful and Christian, and that much of to Tristan, much of Cormac McCarthy's work does not fall into the typical proto-Gnostic paradigm that, for instance, that we've discussed it in. I was really glad to hear that a completely new framework for looking at Cormac McCarthy, and I do side with him in many senses on that. So I think that with a lot of literature, and with film, there's almost no escape from a Gnostic framework. Like in the Star Wars sense of the good guys and the bad guys, and the light side and dark, and balance. And it's just so easy to do with literature. I think a lot, and with film, a lot of people are just incapable of escaping that sort of paradigm. But anyway, we'll be discussing that soon. Hey, make sure you give the stream a like, and please think about asking me a question on Super Chats. You can also donate using PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. Let me put the links in here real quick before we move on to Predator. My point with Contact was that Contact showed a thing that the movie Nope started to do, which was that it blends two of the ways of looking at aliens that are always, there's so much stuff around here, I cannot move without hitting my microphone or moving it up and down or any of this stuff. So I'm sorry if that busted your ears. I was just like, I'm incapable of moving without clutching it up around here. So anyway, so yeah, Contact has that kind of rip in the space-time continuum that occurs when she meets her father. So we blend a number of things. We blend the auditory. We blend the auditory electrical messages from space from aliens, which The Thing has all of these, by the way. We also have a kind of pseudo-organic life form with the dad kissing her. We've got the spiritual entity, because he looks like a specter when he's coming on the beach, but he ends up as a computer program. And we've got this kind of rip in the space-time continuum, with her moving at the speed of light through this wormhole. So there's a number of different, I don't know what you would call these, like motifs and paradigms with which we look at aliens that are the Fire in the Sky had the gray alien, right? Had the gray alien in the probe. The movie The Arrival with Charles Sheen, which I'm going to mention now briefly before I get to the others, even though I said I was doing Predator. The movie The Arrival, I'm not talking about Arrival by what's his name? Villeneuve, Denis Villeneuve. It's not Denis Villeneuve. This is actually Charles Sheen, The Arrival, 1996. This is a great movie. I've always really liked this movie because it used to come on HBO back in the day. The Arrival is another SETI movie, and it's a movie where Charles Sheen is a guy just trying to make it with this guy's banging 7-gram rocks, listening to SETI. Okay, this guy's slamming speedballs all day. We're checking out his Amiga machine, and he's got this cool kid that lives in the neighborhood. He helps him with his computers or whatever. But anyway, he comes upon something, and long and story short, he goes to Mexico to kind of escape, and then he goes to this facility, and it turns out that the aliens have been masquerading as humans, and you can tell when they become an alien because they kind of shed their skin suit and they walk with their legs backwards. They do that thing. They walk like grasshoppers or something. And it's cool that a lot of the movies in Mexico, because there is a lot about Mexico in terms of this alien stuff. There was the video of the Tic Tac. God, there's so many words with this stuff. The Tic Tac probe, honey. What do you call it? The Tic Tac elongated orb or whatever. That's hanging out above Teotihuacan or the Pyramid of the Sun, the one without a capstone. So the alien thing appears as the capstone. Anyway, and then there's they had that awful shooter at the Pyramid of the Sun recently. That was another thing. I think that's the same one that Jim Morrison walked up. Not that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying, they got an album called Waiting for the Sun, right? So anyway, there's a lot about Mexico. Now, Mexico, one of the things in the files was that Mexico had this proposition to be the first country to ban alien stuff from their skies or something. I can't remember I just read it the other day, but you guys can check that out. If you know what it is, leave it in the comments afterwards. But anyway, he goes down to Mexico. And then he basically discovers that the aliens are already here and that they're wearing skin suits. But it's worth a watch. I actually like that movie better than Arrival. There's also Predator. Now, Predator is the greatest action movie of all time. And it's interesting that Predator and Die Hard are a year apart, and both are John Milius. Are they both John Milius? Who is it? No, John McTiernan. They're both John McTiernan. John Milius is Apocalypse Now. They're both John McTiernan. And that the best two action, I think Die Hard is the sort of third. Second or tied with first Predator would be Terminator 2, Judgment Day. And Terminator 2, Judgment Day is also Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that's also an alien movie. Think of, that movie's an alien movie because one of the concepts of aliens, we have the biological alien, we've got the alien organism, we've got the mimicking organism, there's the super tech, high tech alien in the spaceship, there's the spiritual entity, there's also the space-time continuum interdimensional being, and then there's also the dimensional being from Earth through time, which would be alien. So Terminator 2 is an alien movie because the person mimicking a person, the time travel aspect of it, is alien. He's other. He's a sentient life form through a computer program that comes back in a rip in time. So it becomes a sort of alien. Now, Predator is interesting because Predator and The Thing have the almost exact same beginning. We have a shot of deep space, and we've got with Predator, there's a kind of mothership, and then there's a spaceship that goes to Earth as a hunting ground. Now that's different from The Thing, but The Thing also has a shot of deep space, and we've got an alien craft that looks very human, but is crashing into Earth, and is obviously crashing because the alien thing is on board the spacecraft. And I don't know how else to explain that. We don't even know what time it is. We don't know how long it's been in the ice. But this could be one of the panspermic cedars of Earth, I suppose, or a part of a fleet. I don't know what that is. But all we see is a spaceship, an other crashing to Earth with an alien creature on the alien ship, which makes that a whole other level. So in Predator, we get the biological organism wrapped in body mods who is on Earth hunting humans. There's also a connection between Predator and the Thing in that Predator, remember, when they get to the chopper in the woods or in the jungle, he says it was Hopper. Now, I don't know if that's Schwarzenegger's accent saying Harper or he's saying Hopper. Somebody tell me about the screenplay. Maybe somebody here will know. But I think he says Jim Hopper. And Jim Hopper is Eleven's dad, adopted dad in Stranger Things. And then this is a very loose connection. But the guy in The Thing who deals with the dogs, that dude is Jim Hopper. I mean, I know it's a different actor, but he looks and sounds exactly like Jim Hopper in Stranger Things. Have you noticed that? Go back and watch The Thing. That dude looks and sounds exactly like Hopper, like Hop. Hopper does go to the Arctic snow zone in Stranger Things 3. I'm not going to get into talking about Stranger Things. So we've already done way more than enough on that. But anyway, it's interesting that Predator ends up being an alien movie. I know there are sequels with Alien versus Predator, which I don't care about at all. And I don't mean to make anybody mad here. I really don't care, but I'm not a fan of the Alien franchise movies. I don't like Alien. I don't even really like Aliens, even though it's a Jim Cameron movie. I know that Alien and Aliens are good movies. I've seen them. I actually have never seen Alien all the way through without stopping. I cannot do it. I can't do it. I think it's because I saw Spaceballs before I saw Alien, and so it's got John Hurt. Oh, John Hurt. Again, John Hurt. It's got John Hurt, and hello, my baby, hello, my darling. Remember the scene, like in the diner, and it's got the alien popping out of him. And I used to do that thing in school where you take your shirt in, and you have your sleeve, and you're doing this with your sleeve, and your heart's pumping. You know what I'm talking about. And then my hand would reach out of my sweater and grab my face, and then I would grab somebody's face. That's like first grade stuff. I used to love that shit. I knew this guy in school that he would, every time I saw him, he would go, Kalima, Kalima, Nam Jabai, Nam Jabai. He would try to grab my heart out of my chest, and I'd have to slap him. So, God, that was a lot. Yeah, so I can't watch Alien. I just can't watch it. I don't like squishy, squanchy, black goo aliens. I don't like that. I don't like that. I did post a thing on Instagram today about the X-Files episode with hantavirus, and that was a cover for the black goo alien. And was that in the first X-Files movie? Let me look that up. I remember seeing the X-Files movie. Let me look that up. When was the X-Files movie? Was that 98? Surely not. X-Files. The X-Files TV show. Yeah, it was. It was 1990. Is that the movie? Yeah, that's the movie. Wow, I saw that movie in 1998. It was that long ago? Oh my gosh. That's a good-ass movie. All right, so anyway, the hantavirus is in the movie. And that is a black goo alien, so that's crazy. It's weird how all these things always cross over. It's weird, right? It's weird. Who would have thought? Another great alien movie, by the way, is I didn't put this in there, but it is Under the Skin. I actually really like Under the Skin. I know it's a creepy movie by that director from London who did the Zone of Interest. That director from London. These directors from London. It's that dude who's the director from London. But I like Under the Skin, and not just because ScarJo is nude. All right, listen up, Gooners, get over it. But I do like that there are those scenes of her riding the motorcycle. I think that's cool. Plus, they go to Glasgow and stuff. It's got a good soundtrack. I mean, that guy makes good movies, I think. Anyway, yeah, Under the Skin I think Under the Skin is the most terrifying version of an alien. I think that's probably the worst. I think because she's literally wearing a human skin suit and drags the guy into the black goo hell world, right? And now I mean, that's just a demon. The same thing occurs in Annihilation. I haven't covered Annihilation, the movie, yet, even though it's Alex Garland. We've covered everything that Alex Garland has done. I haven't covered that yet because I need to read the book. And there is a book of Annihilation, so I'm going to read that. I was going to cover that when I covered the J.G. Ballard. Oh, man, my shoe totally came apart. Damn. I knew that's what I was feeling. All right, my shoe's busted. Honey, I got to get another new shoe. Just one shoe. My shoe's busted. Damn, I can wear out some shoes. Old shoe. Like in Wag the Dog. Remember Wag the Dog? Old shoe? Yo, Wag the Dog is a tight movie, y'all. Have you seen that? I need somebody to be streaming with me here. I really do. Because I need to be riffing with somebody. I'm going to do that soon. I need to be riffing with somebody because of Old Shoe. Tell me, if you're a person out there who's seen every movie ever and you want to riff, let me know. Maybe I'll have you on. We need to talk about Old Shoe in Wag the Dog. Wag the Dog is a sick movie, dude. Also, we saw that movie Wild Mountain Thyme with Jamie Dornan, who went to Methody, right across from Queens, where I went to school. I think he's 3 years younger than me, in Belfast. And it's got Emily Blunt. I thought the movie came out recently, but it's from 2020. This is not an alien movie. That's a good movie. That's probably the best movie about Ireland that I've seen. It was very, very good. It was wholesome and good. Yes, he plays a beta. Yes, he thinks he's a bumblebee in the movie. But he's a bumblebee who wants to pollinate the woman because she's a flower. You get it? So I guess it's all right. But Christopher Walken deserved an Oscar for that movie. He killed it, dude. He fucking killed it in that movie. Yes, Bill Hicks is right. Wag the Dog is a classic. It is a sick movie, dude. And by the way, Dennis Leary in that movie plays what I should be doing in real life. Remember, he's the ideas guy. They're like, look, we got to get the wolf. We need an idea. How do we solve this in Hollywood? How are we going to get this done? Call the wolf. He's like, whatever he is in the movie. He's an expert, right? I'm the expert. He's the contractor. He's the ideas man. He's the consultant. Dude, that's what I should be doing. Look, I'm gonna say it right now because I got to write this. Just a little tangent here. I got to write this essay for this Sylvester Stallone book, and it's due by July 1st, so I got no problem doing that. But she found me, the editor, the lady putting the book together, professor, she found me through doing something like this. I was on TNT with Asher when we used to have TNT radio. So if you're a person out there and you're working in Hollywood or you're working in the movies and you need an ideas guy, you need somebody to solve the problems. You need somebody to solve the big problems, put the things together. I'm your guy. I'm the one. I'm the one. You need me. You need to get me. Look, you got a problem in terms of your story, your plot. You don't know how to put the things together. You don't know how to solve it. There's something wrong with the script. You need a script doctor. Call me. I'm the guy. I'm the one to do it. Just look, you need, nobody can fill in this role, right? Nobody can do this role. You need somebody utterly dedicated to the part. You need somebody to play a Wolfman serial killer, okay? You need me. I can do that too. I'm a trained actor. I need a trailer, and I need a bunch of wigs, okay? And I need you to stay out of my way. I'll prepare. I will prepare, and I'll do the movie, okay? You'll never see me again after that. I'm going to do the one performance. I'm going to give my all to this performance. Yeah? I'm your guy. You need to make the movie a little less creepy and a little less weird and stupid, right? You want something that like people like us like, or just something that's good. Get me. I'm the guy. You can contact me through my About page online. Go to Bazed Analyzer and go to the About page. Write me an email. Hello. I'm actually very kind and nice. I don't usually talk like that. Um, no, listen, I'm a trained animal actor, says Bill Hicks. Listen. Hey, honey, what's the guy's name who plays Gollum? Honey. Andy Serkis. You need an Andy Serkis? You need an Andy Serkis? I can do what Andy Serkis does. I'm a trained classical actor from the Bristol Old Vic Theater School. I can do anything. So, listen. I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that. Yeah. Bat out of hell. I mean, that's kind of an alien thing. I don't know. What are some other good alien things? AT Aliens from Outkast. The Chris Brown album from a few years ago with the alien on the cover. That's good. Alien Workshop skateboards. That's fucking sick, dude. What else is good it's an alien? I would say Alien from Spring Breakers, but that's not good because he's not our guy. He's not Riff Raff. All right, they should have just gotten Riff Raff for the movie because shouts out to Riff Raff, the GOAT. They should have gotten Riff Raff instead of what they got. Alien, James Franco, trying to say that's not based on Riff Raff. Give me a break. Tom Cruise. Yeah, Tom Cruise and his Scientology. Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing with Tom Cruise, you guys. You got to get, and I'm just hitting at you, Melly, because Melly, Melly's the boss. Melly's the boss queen. Melly's the boss queen, so don't mess with her. People need to chill out on Tom Cruise and the Scientology thing. Look, pray that he comes back to Christ. But give the guy a break. Tom Cruise is the one. He's been making people happy since the beginning of movies, and no one does it better. And he's the one. So give Tom Cruise a break. Tom Cruise is not out there doing Scientology, putting it in your face. He's really not. People think that he is, and they say he is, but he's not. My sister met John Travolta a few weeks ago in Gulfport, Mississippi. Perfectly nice guy. Very, very kind, very gracious, very happy to be there. He's minding his own business. He wants to fly Qantas airplane and do some stuff. Whatever. I mean, I don't like it. Do I like it? I don't like it. But he's up there, he's up there with his other pilot, and they're doing whatever they're doing. Whatever. They need to get off of that. They need to get off of that. They need to get off of that Scientology perk. But whatever, man. They need to get off of that. That's all I got to say. We're all sinners. I don't know. Tom Cruise, did a great movie, alien movie. That was Oblivion. With an M83 soundtrack. Oblivion is an alien movie. It's a clone movie. Right? It's a clone movie, but clones are other. Clones are aliens. Clones are aliens. Battlefield Earth is an alien movie, right? Yeah, Battlefield Earth is an alien movie. That's right. It is. They are humanoid. They are humanoid Klingoidal Scientology people or whatever. I don't know. I think it's probably a pretty good movie. Look, man, any movie where they go, this is the worst movie ever made, is probably not that bad. Okay? I don't really care. Color Out of Space. Color Out of Space is a good movie. That's Nick Cage. What else? What's another alien thing? Yeah, AT Aliens is badass, right? Wheels of Steel. That's a great one. What's another one? Oh, The Man Who Fell to Earth by David Bowie. District 9. District 9, I'm not going to talk that much about it because District 9 is actually District 9 is so good. It's kind of hard for me to reconcile because it's one of those movies where you feel so bad about the alien and its little alien baby. And it's like a tech baby. It's like a tech alien. So that is a really well done movie. It's by that South African guy. Elysium is a good movie too because that's got an MK Delta in it with body mods, and that's a pretty dope ass movie. Mac and Me. Hey, shouts out to Jay because Mac and Me was covered by Jay years ago. You remember the Mac and Me video with the what's that song? A pink Cadillac rolling down the street, right? Can't you see we got a situation here? I mean, Maximum Overdrive is also an alien movie. Listen, shouts out to J era 2017 to 2019. That was really the golden age. All the old OGs. God, that term is. I'm so sick of that term. All the old. Let's just call them. Let's just call ourselves the based Chad nerds. We'll remember that. What are some other good alien movies? There's so many alien movies. You know what's probably the worst is that movie Paul with Seth Rogen. Weed's cool. Shut up. That's not a cool movie. I haven't even seen that. The movie Species. Yeah, Jethro. What is the movie Species? The one with that hot lady, and she plays a killer alien. Or is that Mimic is the one with Mira Sorvino? Mira Sorvino and Uma Thurman are kind of made in the same lab. I am not a fan of E.T. I am not a fan. I got to say that right away. I don't even like talking about E.T. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like E.T. I never have. I never liked it. I didn't like when I was a kid and they had this kid that I was in preschool with had an ET action figure, and I was like, get that out of my face. Get that shit. Where's your photon? Let's play photon. You're telling me you got a G.I. Joe aircraft carrier and you want to show me your ET action figure? Get the out of here. Get out of here. And I said, come here. I'm going to put this finger right in your eyeball. And I said, no, but I'm having a really good time and I like your house. That's pretty cool. Your mom made good dinner. Thank you. I appreciate it. Now go burn that ET. So we went outside and we played Photon. I was a great kid to play with. I was like super cool. I was a great kid that like, you want to come over to play? I was like the best. Cause I'll cut the cord right off a Nintendo gun and I'll play Duck Hunt outside with you, but we'll pretend like it's a real gun. That's what I used to do. My light is going crazy. That means that the aliens are coming by. I do not like E.T. Listen, this is how based I am. I'm a based Chad from the beginning. I was born that way. I was a 10-month baby, so I came out fully formed and fully conscious. And when I came out, I knew that Reagan was about to win the election. We were super into Reagan back in the day. Okay. Our dog was named after Oliver North. I'm not kidding. And, I was really in favor of the Panamanian invasion. When Grenada happened in like 85, I tried to sign up. My favorite movie was Navy SEALs in 1990. I was super into that. But I knew something else was going on too. I knew there were problems. I mean, I knew about JFK before Oliver Stone made that movie in 91. I knew about Iran-Contra. But when I was one, the movie E.T. came out, and I didn't like it. I said, there's something going on with this E.T. movie. You got this girl, Drew Barrymore, who was super hot because I was 1 and she was like 4. Okay, so that's what I said when I was 1. All right. Now I'm 45 and she's like 54. Okay. So anyway, and I said, I don't like that they're making her go to this Studio 54 thing. Okay, I didn't like it. I didn't like that. I didn't like that they put E.T. in the Project X DARPA facility and tortured him. I didn't like that they put him in the basket I'm like, dude, I'm a 1-year-old. I ride a BMX. I don't like that they put him in a basket on the front. Who has a basket on the front of their bike? What are you talking about? What kind of kid has a basket on his bike? I didn't like that. And I knew that they were messing with us back then. I knew that was sort of a problem. No, is this your way of telling us your father is Oliver North? No, my dad is not Ollie North. I do. Here. My dad is not Ollie North. My uncle knows him. But I'll tell you what, he's not my dad because he signed, this is Oliver North's signature right under, he signed it over to my dad. Now that's kind of crazy because you might look at that and say, oh no, that is your dad's signature and Ollie North. He is Ollie North, but he is not. Ollie North is much older. He's not that much older, but he is from Virginia. So anyway, yeah, that's a signed copy of Ollie North's book, by the way. All right. So anyway, let's get on to this. We covered The Arrival. We covered Contact. We covered Under the Skin a little bit. We talked about Oblivion. We talked about Nope. Predator. We talked about that. I mean, he kind of rips a hole in the galaxy, coming in through the psychosphere, right, with his body mods. I mean, he has an invisibility cloak, and then he's hunting the most dangerous game. I kind of thought Predator was. I sort of thought the movie Predator was about a Jason Bourne type of character that they put in an undersea lab and made into an MK Delta creature that they fostered in a space pod and armed with like severe body mods. I thought that could be something, but I think it really is just an alien. Is Toy Story an alien movie? I'm not sure. I think Toy Story is a Drino programming movie in the same way that The Wizard of Oz and Return to Oz and Alice in Wonderland are. I think that's some sort of terrorizing Drino movie, like a programming movie, because they are doing that in the movie. So there's the whole thing in like Toy Story 2 and 3 or whatever that's The Shining. The guy's obsessed with The Shining. Okay. If anything, I think The Shining might be an alien movie. And I don't mean like a secret space movie. I mean that I think there's something to be said for when these characters become so dissociated and so DID that they are embodied by some sort of spiritual entity that makes it an alien, what we understand as an alien. So in that sense, The Shining is a kind of alien movie. What else do I have in the title? Event Horizon is not in the title. Let's talk about Event Horizon a little bit. Event Horizon is a really, really good movie. Event Horizon is great because is this also 1997? There's a lot of 97. So I guess 97 is the year for Aliens and 99 was the year for Illuminate Confirm Revelations. That's kind of crazy. So Event Horizon is a great movie because it has Sam Neill, who has my birthday, but also Larry Fishburne. We're Going Home. And it's got, what's his name from what's the guy's name from Clueless? What's his name from Clueless? Is he in Clueless? Is he's like Bon Jovi or something. Who's the young guy who's Bon Jovi? It's got Sean Pertwee. Sam Neill is such a boss. Sam Neill, he really is just incredible. Sam Neill really is cool. And so he's the designer of this ship, and the Event Horizon ship is like this impossibly large looking gothic space goth ship. And they've gone out to space to try and go out past where are they? They're past Saturn or Jupiter or something, and they're trying to rescue this other ship, which is a ghost ship. And they just like in Contact, they hear a recording. So I think there's a lot to be said for the audio. Obviously, there's a lot with demons and audio technology. I think that the way that we discover, that we're going to discover entryways into the other dimension is going to be the audio dimension. There's a lot of people who are tormented by demons and sort of beast creatures through aliens. So they hear this audio, and the audio sounds like hell. It sounds like people are being tortured in hell, and that's exactly what's happening. So, spoiler alert, if you try to open a gateway, an interdimensional gateway through a magnetometrized hell gate with all these mirrors sitting in a pool of black goo, you're going to hell. So Sam Neill ends up possessed on this thing, and he ends up as the guy who says, I'll show you such sights. and they end up in the same dimension as the necromancers in what's that awful movie with Pinhead? I can't watch that movie either. I've not seen that. I saw the remake and the reboot, and that was awful. What's the one where they're always hooked? They got all the hooks. They can't have any more sensations. Hellraiser. Yeah, so it's the same dimension as Hellraiser, and they are completely taken over, and this guy ends up with cuts all over him, and he's Satan, or some sort of Mephistopheles, and he's come through the portal, and they're trying to get them back into hell, because when they opened the other dimension to the other place, it was hell. And maybe that's the case. I don't think we're supposed to go to other dimensions. Okay, and I think the other dimension is probably what Faust discovered, and it's gonna end up being hell. You're not supposed to go there, and so I don't know with all this stuff. I mean, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Clive Barker is a degenerate. Well, I don't know. I mean, I suppose he is. That's an Asmongold type answer. I don't know. They have all these weird scenes. They got yeah, yeah. All the stuff you're saying, I think is true. I don't know. I mean, you know, I like space stuff. I like that movie. I like that movie Moon. Okay, because that's made by Duncan Jones, son of David Bowie. David Bowie, for you people in England, his name's David Bowie. For David Bowie fans, David Bowie was super into aliens, and that's because it has an androgynous aspect of being a stranger in a strange land, like an alien from another place, but you're in the Midlands. Okay, and he did that movie, The Man Who Fell to Earth, and don't watch it, because this is like when you get super into Aleister Crowley and heroin and cocaine and magic, and you change your name to Zoza, and you're in Hollywood, and then you're the Thin White Duke, and you're making pretty cool music, but then you get into Kabbalah, and then you're on the Dick Cavett show. It's just uncomfortable, and we want you to find a way back and live with the rest of us and just be wholesome and go to church. That's pretty cool. Now look, everybody's got their interests. I understand. Everybody's got their interests. I think the thing is, like, you think about what people would think about you if they didn't know you. If you passed away, and it's like, I don't know, my books, like, they'd probably say, oh, this guy's dangerous. He's got a lot of books on, and the and conspiracy, and a lot of books on poetry, and a lot of I've got stuff on magic here. I got books on Gnosticism and stuff. I read widely. I don't practice Gnosticism. I just have a book on it because I got it in 2001. I was learning about what it is. That the same way most people would just go to Wikipedia right now, or just ask GPT. I read a whole book. That's what people used to do. But you wonder about that. But that doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there, right? It's neither here nor there. I mean, the first book that really got me into reading was Helter Skelter. Let's see. MK Ultra says Hereditary, if you count aliens as demons. Yeah, well, Hereditary. That's a good pick. Now, we've actually covered all these movies. So, please, everybody, go back into the archives and look at all the movies I've covered. By the way, if you want a membership, please re-up your memberships. I'll be doing another membership stream soon. I was going to do one on that movie, not Possessor, but speaking of possession. Possessor is crazy, dude. That's Brandon Cronenberg. Remember I did that? That was like 3 years ago now. Check out my stream on Possessors. Check out my stream on Hereditary. Check out all the old streams and stuff. But I'll be doing one on that movie, Sorcerer. Yeah, Sorcerer by William Friedkin. That's a crazy good movie, y'all. It really is good. It's kind of his South American Apocalypse Now from around the same time, so I'll be covering that. But please, the next ScarJo, Jethro says ScarJo is in the next Ari Aster movie. Ari Aster? What is that? Is that the Wolfman? I'm interested in the Wolfman. I'm definitely gonna go see it. um, you know, I'm definitely gonna see that. I'm trying to think of other. There's so many aliens things. Well, we've covered a bunch of them here. So Event Horizon is probably the best space. I mean, certainly it's a genre bending movie. It's space horror, in a way that, well, I guess that's not new, but it's kind of it's certainly new in terms of it being supernatural space horror. I mean, the movie is crazy good. It's very, very dangerous. It's a dangerous movie, I think. I think that the best alien movies are Predator and The Thing. We haven't really talked about The Thing yet, so let's end it on that. The Thing, I mean, we've done a whole stream on it, but The Thing is, I cannot believe that when I did the stream on The Thing a few years ago that I hadn't watched it. I purposely avoided it before that. And that makes sense when you watch the other stream on it, but it's so weird to think about because when I turn on the movie now, I get so excited even from the very beginning of it. It's such a good movie. Man, was I wrong about a movie. The Thing is one of the best films ever. It's so perfect. It really is perfect. And the score, the soundtrack to the movie is so perfect because the movie is 12 Angry Men in Antarctica. It's also it's a movie about paranoia and possession. It's also kind of a post-apocalyptic survival movie. It's a space movie. It's a military movie. I mean, it really is so good. And, I mean, Kurt Russell is so great in the movie, but he's not even my favorite character in the movie. The movie is so good, by the way, because they got real actors. They got real actors for this movie. They got Kurt Russell, who was known. He was famous, but he was known. But the other guys are mainly what you would call character actors, but they're all solid. You believe that these people are in Antarctica. And it's such an interesting film because it is so perfectly, it has this contrast between what we are learning through the characters and how they're telling us the story and what the camera is telling us and who to trust and not to trust. And even the camera becomes unreliable. We have an unreliable narrator. We have in terms of all the characters, we have an unreliable camera narrator. And we have a world where we even learn that none of them are going to escape. None of them are going to get out of here. And we still stick with them and they're still willing to do their duty. And it's just, I think my favorite character in the movie is either the Wilford Brimley character because there's this conflict between, first of all, he gets shot up with morphine and put in the shack and he's the doctor and Wilford Brimley is the way that tough guys used to be. And that's so crazy to think about. He plays the tough guy in the Tom Cruise movie, The Firm. And by that point, you kind of don't believe it. But this is the way tough guys used to be. Because you believe that this guy is tough as hell. He's this old guy who's really big and kind of, it's like this guy was in World War II. This guy's going to whoop ass. That guy and the sheriff guy, who's just so great. All the characters are great. I think the guy who plays the surgeon with the nose ring is really cool too. All the characters are so cool. They're all good. And there's this weird conflict with the Wilford Brimley character because he discovers the format for mimicry and how this alien creature from outer space that seemed to have hitched a ride on the spacecraft, because that's why the spacecraft is wobbling when it comes into Earth, I think. And then it escapes the spacecraft and gets buried in the ice. They say that at the end of the movie that he's just waiting. Everybody's going to die and then he's going to freeze so that when the rescue team comes to get him in, no matter how long it is, that he can replicate and take over the Earth. But when you watch the computer model that Wilford Brimley creates, it really does tell you everything that happens in the movie. And then also there's this ambiguity. We don't know if McCready is the bad guy because we keep hearing that he, that he escaped from his clothes. We keep seeing McCready's. He's holding the long johns, and he knows somebody escaped from it, and we're almost looking at him as if he's looking at things from inside, from the outside. Like this creature seems to be disembodied because he's fully formed and developed inside of Kurt Russell. I mean, the scene where they test the blood with the hot copper is so crazy because, the conspiracy theorist guy in the movie, who's cool. He's like, they've been doing this for a long time, man. Here, you want to smoke a bone? He gives it over to Craig David. I think that it's almost like with McCready, he's one of the creatures has taken over McCready and had time to fully form and mimic and occupy him, almost like he's the guy. I don't know. He's wearing that gigantic sombrero, which is so crazy in the movie. It's like, also we know what's going to happen from the beginning when he douses the chess match with the alcohol in the computer, just like he's willing to burn down the whole place at the end. So that seems to be McCready's MO. But also, how did he get back from the line being cut in the Antarctic snowstorm? Why were his clothes ripped through? Was that McCready? Was that somebody else planning it? It's 12 Angry Men. It's such a good movie. And I think that's a good movie because we see an amalgamation of an alien creature who takes on, like why would the alien creature, if the alien creature takes on all of the things that it's incorporated as it mimics biological life, it has the dog, and it has the man, and it has this giant undersea creature beast, but it also is like a crab. Remember, it's scurrying through with the head creature. It seems like the crab is the thing that it incorporated under the ice, I guess, when it first landed. So it's been there for a long time, I suppose. It's almost outside of time. But then again, we don't even know that. I just think it's such a good movie. We don't usually think of space alien crabs. We think of octopi, the octopi being crabs, or we think of in the movie Nope that we started with today. There's the kind of squid, octopus, manta ray type of alien, but not like in this movie. So that's, I think, how it should end. All right, guys, that's about it. That's all I got. Let's see if we have any. That's all I really can do for today. Let's see if we have any super chats or anything here. Let's see. No, we don't have any. If you want to super chat, you can super chat using the function right there. That's great. You can also buy some memberships. Make sure you re-up your membership. Let's look at some support we got here. First of all, I want to thank Ethan. Thank you so much, Ethan, for your support. Ethan has been supporting me. Thank you for your big support. There you go. And Ethan supports me again. There you go. Thank you, Ethan, for that $20 on Cash App. Hey, Ethan, I really appreciate you. You keep this operation going. Everybody, thank Ethan so much. Really, really, really awesome, really kind, really generous. I want to thank Kevin right there. He says, let me read this first so I don't dox you. He sends $30 on PayPal. Thank you, Kevin. He says, Bazed, hey, Bazed, what is your opinion of Thomas Pynchon and William T. Volman? I hear a lot about them. Are they worth reading? Also, life is fiery with its beauty, its incredible detail. My favorite quote from Alex. Yes, life is fiery with its beauty, its incredible detail. Talking about Justin Bieber and Magellan. Thank you for that $4.99. Mike says, great stream. Thank you, everybody. Give Mike a like there. Thank you so much, Kevin. Yeah, what's my opinion on Thomas Pynchon and William T. Volman? I think that people should read these authors. Absolutely. I think people should watch movies and read these books. You should read. I think you should read widely and read. If anybody out there wants a reading list, what you should be reading, just go through my streams and look at what we've covered here. Start with Macbeth. Start with the very beginning. I think people should be reading Thomas Pynchon. My opinion, I'll just say this, my opinion on Thomas Pynchon is quickly changing, and that's partly because of Tristan. That is because of Tristan. Tristan is reading Gravity's Rainbow right now. We're kind of talking about it. I have a copy of Gravity's Rainbow. I read about 125 pages before I got sidetracked with the Magus years ago, and I didn't want to go back to it because I quickly learned that I hated Thomas Pynchon's work, and I thought that it was a kind of template for AI, and I decided I didn't even know if it was real. That's sort of a half opinion, but I just really got tired of the data spew, and so I'm really enjoying Tristan's discussions with me on Thomas Pynchon. I think people should read it. I need to go and read Europe Central. I know William T. Vollmann has another new one out, and I discovered William T. Vollmann when I was reading something by Don DeLeo years ago. So maybe we'll cover that one in the future. If you want to see that, just let me know. Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it. People should read those books. Let's see. What else we got here? We've got Crystalline. Crystalline sent me $2 on PayPal. Thank you so much, Crystalline. Really appreciate you. Says, Happy Mother's Day weekend, and God bless y'all. Appreciate you, BLA. Hey, yes, all the mothers out there. All the mothers out there, especially my mother, especially my mother-in-law, especially all the mom friends that we have, especially Rachel Wilson, Based Homeschool Mama. Love her. Shouts out to all the moms out there, all my friends with their great wives or mothers, and my friends who are mothers. Shouts out to you out there. So thank you, Crystalline. Really appreciate that. Hey, are you a mom? I don't know. If you're a mom, everyone's got a mom, right? Despair thy charm. I was from my mother's womb untimely ripped. I was not. I was a 10-month baby. I was, So shouts out to my mom. I liked it so much I didn't want to leave. And so thank you, Crystalline. Really appreciate that on PayPal. Let's see what else we got. I know we got something else in here. I just missed it. So let's see. Hey, shouts out to, hold on, let me check this. Shouts out to, yes, shouts out to, is that Hattori Hanzo? Let me see. I can't see. Is that Hattori? Come on, show me. Show me. I can't read it. Thank you. Says, is that Hattori? I can't read this. I'll give that a like. Shouts out, I gave $10 to DPH, so here's $10 for you. Hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. You didn't have to do that, but thank you so much. You should do it. But thank you. I know. Thank you so much. Hey, you gave $10 to DPH, and he deserves it. Make sure you buy his book on, he's very ahead of the pack on transhumanism. We love DPH out there. David Patrick Harry, my friend, Church of the Eternal Logos, killing it as always. Always a big shout out to DPH. Make sure you watch all of our movie streams. And please, while you're at it, if you're going to buy a book, if you're going to buy a book, that's an annoying way to put that. If you're going to buy a book, make sure you buy a copy of my book, Runes. It's right here. Buy a copy of my book, Runes. Thank you to everybody who's left a review on Amazon for me. Go to my book, Runes. It's under my real name. You can find it, Runes. The link is right there. It's also in the video description. It's also in the channel description. Buy my book, Runes. It's $12. It's on a second edition. It's got bigger font. You wouldn't know that if you don't have the first edition. It is a book of personae poems on the Third Reich, paramilitary loyalist Northern Ireland, and Imperial Rome. And I think that I don't know about enjoy it, but I think that it will be edifying, and you will get some real poetry and it may be the first book of poetry some of you ever own or ever will own. So thank you so much. Hattori says, I don't always read or buy poetry, but when I do, it's based. Thank you so much. Listen, please go and leave a review. Go on there, leave a 5-star review if you haven't. Do it right now and just put only love can kill the demon. Shouts out BLA, something. Right? Anything you want. Just put that on there. Make it good. Thank you so much. Please continue to buy the book. Thank you to everybody who's bought the book. I will be back. By the way, please check out my friend Dr. Luke Johnson's channel, Dr. Luke Johnson. I was on there covering my book, Runes, and covering a couple other things. Please subscribe to his channel. He's a great guy, and he's got great content. That's about it for me. I gotta go. Thank you so much. Do you like Dune? Yes, I like Dune. I love Dune. Also, Project Hail Mary is an alien movie. Yes, Project Hail Mary is an alien movie, and it is great. You should go see it. There's nothing else out right now. Maybe we'll go to see a movie. Hey, maybe we'll go see a movie tonight. It's 6:00 here. Maybe it's date night. I want to go see this movie about the sharks. I also want to see the Hokum movie about the Irish demon with Adam Scott. You don't want to see that? Okay, we'll see. I want to see the movie about the sharks. Okay, all right. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe there's nothing else out really. I want to see the new Ridley Scott movie about post-apocalyptic stuff. I will go see the. See, I hit the damn microphone again. I cannot believe I'm such a klutz. I want to go see the new Dune movie when it comes out. I don't know. There's really nothing else out. Hey, listen, please leave me a comment afterwards. Let me know if you're watching this. What are your favorite alien movies? What do you think are the best and the worst? What alien movies do you like? What's something else out now that's good? The new Drake video for Iceman. You know what they should have done? They should have just had Jerry just going to work instead of showing Drake in this Iceman shit. Why is James Cameron making more Avatar? I don't know, but I don't have a problem with it. Honestly, I like James Cameron. I think Jim Cameron is the GOAT. He really is. I don't care anymore. I'm past the point, and I appreciate that. I appreciate your question. I'm past the point of giving a shit about some of these people that we've kind of really not liked for a long time that people make fun of. Jim Cameron did The Abyss, one of the great alien movies. Titanic is a goated movie. It is. That may sound weird. You may not like that, but it is. I mean, it is a goated movie. I don't give a shit. Billy Zane's in it. Just enjoy the movies. He also made Aliens 2, which again, I don't like the Alien movies, but I think that's a good movie. And guess what? He wrote Point Break, the greatest movie of all time. And he did Terminator 2, the greatest action movie of all time. So Jim Cameron can do whatever he wants as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. I didn't see it. I didn't see the new Avatar. I probably will one day, I probably will. I can't think of anything better than, you're getting zoinked out on some, and you're sipping on that Waukesha or whatever you're doing at home, and you're watching the new Avatar movie. I don't know. I can't judge you for that. I don't know. You ever notice the only time the word alien gets used in real life application is used to describe people? That's right. Well, it's the other. And by the way, that is one of the. Oh no, that's not in the book that I already wrote. That's in my. Is there? Hold on. Do I have a epigraph from Rambo in here? Do I? Is the epigraph? Yep. Yes, I do. One of the epigraphs in my book Runes is from Arthur Rimbaud, and it's about alienism. Not that doesn't mean alienation. Not necessarily alienation, not alienation. By the way, I've covered the movie Alien Nation. I also did a whole let me finish this little line of thought. I covered I'm sorry. The epigraph in my book is from Rimbaud, which is which is I is an other. I is an other. It's about a kind of alienation from oneself. You can tell what that means if you read my book Runes. But also, what was I going to say? I did cover a whole stream on reptilian space and the movie The Last Starfighter, Enemy Mine. Enemy Mine is one of the great alien movies. Listen, this is an underrated movie. I got to recommend it. Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid. And it seems like it's going to be bad, but it's actually a very, very solid movie. It's a very good movie. I recommend you watch the movie Enemy Mine. Enemy Mine. The title itself is great. There's something about titles. So, yeah, you should watch the movie. You should watch that. Anyway, that's about all I got for now, you guys. Listen, please make sure you like and share the stream. Help me get these numbers up. Help me get the numbers up, you guys. I will be doing more streams. I know. I've just had a lot going on. We all got a lot going on here. Shouts out to all my friends and family. And listen, man, it's springtime. It's May. We're about to go into summer. I'm finishing the academic year here. Thank goodness. Shouts out to Klon. Shouts out to everybody in the audience. Thank you. I've got such a great audience, such great people. Please grab a membership. Be one of the high IQ book enjoyers. Shouts out to the longtime members. Also, the people that are the premium enjoyers. Thank you so much. All my friends and family. This is a great, everybody on the internet knows this is a great place to come to be with the high IQ people, the Bazed people, and to just enjoy life and, just to talk about books and movies. So I really appreciate it. That was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, says Crystalline. Shouts out to Crystalline out there. We love you. And, yeah, my favorite movie when I was a kid, when I was 2 years old, was Beastmaster. I love the Beastmaster. What movie are you guys talking about? Critters? I just realized I'm behind from buffering. That's okay. Buffering. We got a lot of buff-based. I don't know. Buffy, Christy Swanson. Yo, shouts out to Christy Swanson out there. In one of the great movies of all time, has nothing to do with being an alien, but that's the movie The Chase with Charles Sheen. That is a great movie. That is a great movie. I don't care what anybody says. I'm sure they say it's great. It's a good movie. It's got Henry Rollins in it. I got that great poem. You guys want to hear my Henry Rollins poem that I wrote to end the stream here? This is my Henry Rollins spoken word poem. You may remember this from back in the day. When did I write this? This is from back in the day. Let's see. Oh, here it is. This is from February 29th, 2024. I think it's from earlier than that. I think this is from a Maddie stream. We were talking about Henry Rollins. So this is my impression of a Henry Rollins spoken word poem. Okay. All right. So imagine Henry Rollins doing this. Okay. This is Henry Rollins. You want to be tough? TOUGH. Tough like a man, then cry. Cry for your rights. Cry for the rats in the LA street punks. Cry for your guitar string broken like piano wire on a man's throat while you mosh into your perfect suburban life. That's my Henry Rollins spoken word poem. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much. If you know Henry Rollins, I think that's pretty accurate. Hey, yo, listen up. Please buy my book, Runes. I'll see you guys on the flip, as Jason Burmis says. Shouts out to Jason Burmis. We haven't talked to Burmis in a while. Maybe we should try and get Burmis on or somebody. Oh, we got to do the alien stuff with Ruckus, too. Damn, we got a lot going on. I've said goodbye like 100 times now, so let's really give it a goodbye. Let's go with Rooks G, because he knows all about aliens, because he's got an alien in his thumbnail. So let's go with Rooks, and let me find this song real quick, because this is my favorite alien song. Shouts out to him. Crystal said, "Oof." You didn't like my Henry Rollins poem? Yeah, that is Henry Rollins, though, right? Very dangerous and punk, says Mike. I think that was a great Henry Rollins impression. So look, maybe not. I don't know. All right, let's go with some Henry Rollins here. Here we go. Let's go with Rooks G, and let's go with something real spacey. Yeah, we're gonna go with where I discovered Rooks G, and that's Lost in Time. I discovered Rooks G because I was looking for a polyethereal jungle ambient drum and bass PlayStation era mix. Okay, music for coding. And I discovered Rooks G and this song Lost in Time. That's how I discovered him, so that's great. So yeah, that's really the only music out is Rooks G and just like Dapo Goto and Pizza Hotline and Boy 2000. That's about it. There's a new Chris Brown out. There's nothing alien though. Go back and listen to AT Aliens. Okay, here's Rooks G with Lost in Time. Love you guys. That's about it. There we go. Classic Lost in Time right here. That's about it. All right, love you guys. Hey, listen. We do it live. Was it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. If you're strong enough, I'll see you guys. Oh, man, my back is killing me, yo. My back's killing me. Don't forget you can donate anytime. You can reach out to me through the email. You can reach out in comments below. Love you guys. Take you later. Peace.